Would you believe it if I told you that millions of people are leaving the United States, not in small numbers, but in record-breaking waves? Between 2020 and 2023, a staggering 4.3 million people packed their bags and left the U.S. That's more than the entire population of Los Angeles. And here's the craziest part. This trend is only growing. But wait, wasn't America supposed to be the land of opportunity? The place where people come to build a better future, not leave it behind. So what's really happening? The American dream is starting to crack, and for many immigrants, the reality isn't what they were promised. Insanely high housing costs, crushing inflation, unaffordable health care, and uncertain immigration policies are making life in the U.S. harder than ever before. Some are even saying, I was better off in my home country. But is it really that bad? And if so, where are these people going? Stick around, because in this video, we're diving deep into the real reasons why immigrants are fleeing the U.S. in record numbers, and why this mass exodus might just be the beginning of a shocking new trend. Number 1. The crushing cost of housing. For generations, owning a home was the ultimate symbol of the American dream. A house with a backyard, a safe place for children to grow up, and a sense of stability. This was what many immigrants came to the U.S. for. But today, that dream has turned into a nightmare. Home prices have skyrocketed to unthinkable levels, making ownership impossible for millions. In 2023, the average home price in the U.S. hit $419,000, an 18% increase in just a few years. In cities like Los Angeles, prices have soared to nearly $900,000, while in New York, an average home costs $690,000. Even in smaller cities where housing was once affordable, prices have risen so much that middle-class families can barely compete. And if you think renting is a better option, think again. Rents have exploded, pushing families into financial distress. In Miami, rent prices have surged by 30% since 2020, and in places like Austin, Phoenix, and Atlanta, similar spikes have left many struggling to afford even a modest apartment. A one-bedroom in cities like San Francisco or New York can easily cost $3,000 a month or more, a price tag that's out of reach for most working-class immigrants. The worst part? Wages haven't kept up. While home prices and rents are skyrocketing, income levels have remained nearly stagnant. Many immigrants who came with dreams of homeownership now find themselves trapped in tiny, overpriced apartments, working long hours just to cover rent. For some, half or even more of their monthly paycheck goes straight to their landlord, leaving them with barely enough for food, healthcare, and other necessities. As a result, many immigrants are realizing that life in the U.S. simply isn't worth the struggle. Why pour every dollar into rent or a mortgage when they can move back to their home country, buy a house for a fraction of the cost, and live with far less financial stress? Instead of chasing a dream that now feels impossible, many are making a bold decision: to leave. The U.S. may still be a land of opportunity for some, but when the cost of simply having a roof over your head is this high, it's no surprise that millions are choosing to walk away. Number 2, the soaring cost of living. Imagine working full-time, sometimes even 2 or 3 jobs, and still struggling to afford basic necessities. This is the harsh reality for millions of immigrants in the U.S. today. The cost of living has spiraled out of control, and for many it feels like an endless uphill battle just to survive. Groceries, transportation, utilities. Everything is getting more expensive, and wages aren't keeping up. A family of 4 now spends an average of $1,200 per month just on groceries. Egg prices have surged by 60% since 2020, while essentials like milk and bread have jumped 20 to 30%. Even fast food, once considered an affordable option, is no longer cheap. A basic meal at a fast food restaurant can now cost $10 to $15 per person. And then there's gasoline, a necessity for anyone commuting to work. The national average price per gallon is around $3.75, but in some states, it's well over $5 per gallon. For immigrants relying on their cars to get to work, these prices cut deeply into their already tight budgets. Utility bills have also become a major burden. Electricity and heating costs have risen by 10 to 15%, with the average monthly bill now at $200 or more. Many families find themselves forced to choose between keeping the lights on and putting food on the table. Healthcare is another massive expense, but we'll get to that in the next section. The bottom line? Everything in the U.S. costs more than it did just a few years ago, but wages haven't increased at the same pace. Inflation has consistently hovered between 8 to 9%, but average wage growth has been just 3.1% per year. That means people are actually earning less in real terms while paying way more for everyday expenses. For many immigrants, this is the breaking point. Why struggle to make ends meet in a country where basic survival is a financial challenge? In places like Mexico, Colombia, India, and the Philippines, the cost of living is often 40 to 50% lower than in the U.S. A family can live comfortably on $1,000 to $1,500 per month, something unimaginable in most American cities. This growing financial pressure is forcing many immigrants to reconsider their choices. Instead of staying in a country where life feels like an endless cycle of working just to survive, many are making the decision to leave, seeking a better, more affordable future elsewhere. Number 3. Skyrocketing healthcare costs. For many immigrants, the idea of moving to the United States came with the promise of a better life, better jobs, and better healthcare. But once they arrive, reality hits hard. Healthcare in the U.S. is not just expensive, it's downright unaffordable for millions. Unlike many other countries where healthcare is free or heavily subsidized, the American healthcare system operates like a business, where even a simple doctor's visit can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you're lucky enough to have health insurance, you're still not off the hook. The average cost of a family health insurance plan in the U.S. is now $22,000 per year, a price tag that is out of reach for many immigrants, especially those in low-wage jobs. And for those without insurance, the costs are even worse. A simple ER visit can cost anywhere between $3,500 and $5,000, even for minor issues. Need an ambulance? That'll be $500 to $1,500 just for the ride. A broken arm? Expect to pay at least $2,500. Life-saving medications like insulin or cancer treatments can cost thousands of dollars per month. Even childbirth, something that is free or low cost in many countries, can cost an uninsured mother $15,000 to $30,000 in the U.S. For immigrants, many of whom work low-paying jobs that don't provide health benefits, these costs are simply unbearable. They're forced to make impossible choices, skip necessary medical care, or go into massive debt just to stay healthy. Some even travel back to their home countries for medical treatments because it's cheaper to fly home, see a doctor, and return than it is to get treated in the U.S. That alone says everything about the state of American healthcare. But it's not just about the money, it's also about access. Long wait times, complex paperwork, and insurance companies denying claims make it difficult for many immigrants to get the care they need. The system is so complicated that even lifelong Americans struggle to navigate it, let alone someone new to the country. At some point, many immigrants start asking themselves, why stay in a country where getting sick can ruin your life financially? In other places, healthcare is affordable, simple, and accessible, and that's one of the biggest reasons why so many immigrants are choosing to leave the U.S. behind. Number 4, uncertainty in immigration policies. For millions of immigrants, coming to the United States is supposed to be the start of a new chapter, a chance to build a better life. But for many, that dream is quickly replaced with stress, fear, and endless uncertainty, all thanks to the country's complex and ever-changing immigration policies. The U.S. immigration system is known for being slow, expensive, and unpredictable. There are currently over 8 million immigrants living in the country without legal status, and for many, the path to citizenship is almost impossible. The process to obtain a green card or permanent residency can take years, sometimes even decades, and that's assuming you qualify in the first place. Even those who do qualify often find themselves trapped in a system that feels rigged against them. The legal fees alone can be overwhelming. Some immigrants spend as much as $10,000 to $20,000 on attorney fees, application costs, and processing delays. In some cases, the total cost of obtaining permanent residency can reach $110,000. And after spending all that money, there's still no guarantee of approval. For many, the fear of deportation looms over their daily lives. Policies and enforcement strategies change with every administration, making it difficult for immigrants to feel secure. One year there might be protections in place, and the next a new law or executive order could put their status at risk. Families are torn apart, with parents deported while their U.S.-born children are forced to stay behind. The emotional toll of living in constant fear is something most people can't even imagine. Even legal immigrants aren't safe from uncertainty. Work visas like the H-1B or L-1 are subject to strict caps, long wait times, and sudden denials. Many skilled workers, despite having jobs, are stuck in visa limbo, unable to get permanent status but also unable to leave because their future in the U.S. is tied to their employer. So what's the alternative? Many immigrants are choosing to move to countries like Canada, Australia, or parts of Europe, where immigration policies are clear, structured, and welcoming. Instead of waiting years or even decades in the U.S. for an uncertain future, they're choosing places that offer faster pathways to citizenship, legal stability, and peace of mind. For immigrants, it's no longer just about opportunity, it's about security. And if the U.S. can't provide that, they'll find a country that will. Number 5. Declining job opportunities and wage stagnation. For decades, the United States was known as the land of opportunity, a place where hard work paid off, where immigrants could build a future, climb the economic ladder, and achieve financial success. But for many today, that dream is slipping away. Job opportunities are shrinking, wages aren't keeping up with rising costs, and for a growing number of immigrants, the struggle simply isn't worth it anymore. While the U.S. job market still offers opportunities, good-paying jobs are harder to find, especially for immigrants. Many arrive with skills, degrees, and experience, but end up working low-wage jobs in industries like food service, retail, or manual labor. The promise of economic mobility feels more like a myth when immigrants find themselves stuck in jobs that barely cover basic living expenses. One of the biggest issues is wage stagnation. Over the past decade, wages in the U.S. have only increased by an average of 3.1% per year, but inflation has soared between 8 to 9% in recent years. This means that even though people may be making a little more on paper, their purchasing power is actually shrinking. Immigrants who came to the U.S. expecting to save money and build wealth are now struggling just to keep up with rent, food, and transportation costs. For those working hourly jobs, things are even worse. The federal minimum wage has remained stuck at $7.25 per hour since 2009, more than 15 years without an increase. While some states have raised their minimum wage, it's still far from enough to keep up with the cost of living. In cities like Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, even making $15 to $20 per hour isn't enough to cover basic expenses. Another challenge is job instability. Many immigrants work in industries that are heavily affected by economic downturns, layoffs, and automation. Factories that once employed thousands of workers are shutting down or moving overseas. Companies are replacing human workers with AI and robotics, making low-skilled jobs even harder to come by. Faced with low wages, high living costs, and limited job growth, many immigrants are looking elsewhere. Countries like Canada, Germany, and Australia offer higher wages, lower living costs, and better job security. Instead of staying in the U.S. and struggling to make ends meet, many are choosing to move somewhere that actually values their work and pays them fairly. For millions, the American dream isn't dead. It just no longer lives in America. Number 6, a better quality of life elsewhere. For decades, the U.S. was seen as the ultimate destination for a better life. Higher wages, better jobs, more opportunities. But today, many immigrants are realizing something surprising. They can have a higher quality of life elsewhere, for a fraction of the cost and with far less stress. One of the biggest reasons immigrants are leaving the U.S. is that life is simply easier and more affordable in other countries. In places like Mexico, Colombia, India, Thailand, and Portugal, the cost of living is 40 to 50% lower than in the U.S. That means rent, food, healthcare, and entertainment cost just a fraction of what they do in major American cities. For example, in Mexico, a family can live comfortably on $1,500 a month, a budget that wouldn't even cover rent in most U.S. cities. In Thailand, a modern 2-bedroom apartment can be rented for $500 a month compared to $3,000 or more in Los Angeles or New York. And in Colombia, fresh groceries, restaurant meals, and public transportation cost a fraction of what they do in the US. But it's not just about money. Work-life balance is better in many other countries. In the US, people are expected to work long hours, often with little vacation time and no real job security. Meanwhile, countries in Europe, Latin America, and even parts of Asia prioritize quality of life, with shorter work weeks, paid vacations, and universal health care. Instead of grinding away just to survive, immigrants who return to their home countries often find that they can work less, live more, and actually enjoy their time with family and friends. Speaking of family, many immigrants leave the U.S. because they miss the strong sense of community and support they had back home. In many cultures, family plays a central role in daily life. Grandparents help raise children, neighbors look out for each other, and social gatherings are a regular part of life. Compare that to the U.S., where many people feel isolated, working non-stop just to afford basic needs, with little time for personal connections. At the end of the day, many immigrants are asking themselves, why struggle in the U.S. when life is more affordable, less stressful, and more fulfilling elsewhere? For a growing number of people, the answer is clear. It's time to leave. Number 7. Political and social tensions. For many immigrants, moving to the U.S. wasn't just about financial opportunities. It was also about finding safety, freedom, and a welcoming society. But in recent years, the political climate has shifted, and many now feel unwelcome, unsafe, and even targeted. One of the biggest factors driving immigrants away is the rise in anti-immigrant sentiment. In 2023, a survey found that 65% of Americans expressed negative views about immigration, a number that has been steadily rising. Political leaders openly debate stricter immigration laws, and some states have implemented harsh policies that make it harder for immigrants to live and work legally. For many, the message is clear. You are not wanted here. Beyond policies, daily life has become more difficult for many immigrants. Reports of discrimination, racism, and xenophobia have increased, with many immigrants feeling like they are being blamed for economic struggles, crime, and other social issues. Some have even faced harassment or violence simply because of their background, language, or appearance. But it's not just about how immigrants are treated. It's about the overall social and political atmosphere. The U.S. has become deeply divided, with political tensions at an all-time high. Protests, riots, and heated debates over race, immigration, and national identity have made the country feel more unstable than ever before. Many immigrants left their home countries to escape political chaos, only to find themselves in a country that feels just as unstable, if not worse. Another major concern is the constant uncertainty surrounding immigration policies. With each new government administration, rules change. One year, a path to citizenship seems possible. The next year, visa restrictions tighten, deportations increase, and immigrants are left wondering if they will be allowed to stay. This kind of instability makes it difficult to plan for the future, buy a home, or even feel at ease in daily life. For many immigrants, the stress, hostility, and political uncertainty aren't worth it anymore. They are choosing to move to countries that offer not only economic stability, but also social peace, clear immigration policies, and a sense of belonging. At the end of the day, immigrants came to the U.S. for a better life. But if the country no longer offers that, then it's no surprise that millions are deciding to leave. The United States was once the ultimate land of opportunity, but for millions of immigrants, the dream is no longer worth the struggle. What do you think? Is America losing its appeal, or is this just a temporary shift? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If you found this video eye-opening, check out our previous video, insert video title, for more deep dives. And if you appreciate the effort we put into making these videos, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. See you in the next one.